Hello, welcome back to Biohacking Beauty. I'm Amitai Eshel, and today our guest is Joel Marshall. We're going to dive deep into the world of microneedling, what it really does for your skin on a cellular level, why it stimulates collagen and healing in a way that other treatments can't, and the biggest myths and mistakes that people still make. We'll also explore the controversy around radiofrequency microneedling, how exosomes and NAD can supercharge results, and what the future of regenerative skincare might look like. Joel Marshall is the founder and CEO of Derm, the US distributor of Dermapen. With over 2 decades of experience in aesthetics, he has helped turn microneedling into a global standard for skin rejuvenation, and I'm thrilled to have him on. All right. Joel, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Amitai.
Yeah, I mean, we've known each other longer than I had a podcast. I can't say it about a lot of the guests, so...
Yeah, when did we meet? Was it?
I would probably say probably 2017.
Yeah.
2017, 2016.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe we should start.
You've come a long way since then, though.
We all have.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Maybe, Joel, we should start by talking about kind of what exactly is microneedling and how does it work?
Okay.
On a cellular level, how does it work in the skin?
Well, I mean, first of all, I guess we got to describe the actual technology a little bit, right? Because I mean, microneedling has been around for a long time. I mean, from anything from using needles for acupuncture and other other ideas. The concept of microneedling as it is today,
maybe even bloodletting in the in the Middle Ages
with really big needles. The modern day version of microneedling actually was started in the 90s. And there was a Professor Comeron, I think it was. He was actually working on repigmenting hypopigmented areas or where there's scars and things like that. Right? So he was using like a tattoo needle and just trying to repigment the hypopigmented scarred area to blend it back in. And then over time, he actually saw great changes in the collagen structure and the actual look of the scar and everything. So then that got them thinking, well, needling seems to work to produce new collagen. So then they started with like little stamps. So they'd have this little stamp, and you'd stamp the needles into the skin. And obviously with more holes, they got improved results.
Yeah.
Eventually they moved on to rollers. So you get this drum with all these needles sticking out of it and roll it across the skin.
Yeah.
And so you're making more holes again. And then in 2009, we looked at what was available in the technologies and saw the tattoo guns, or particularly for permanent makeup, where they clumped together needles, and thought, hey, if we move those to separated needles and have like a plate of needles that are vibrating in and out very fast, we're going to create a lot more holes than a roller possibly can. You can then have other technologies where you can actually change the depth of the needles to get different, to create different results. So we developed the first microneedling pen, which is the Dermapen.
Yeah, and it's crazy as far as like how many different like the competition you have right now is even as far as lookalike products. Definitely using the same verbiage, right? Definitely using the same, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Before that, I think before we get into the actual device and how it works really, I think it's important to explain why collagen is so important in skin health and anti-aging.
For sure.
Because at the end of the day, what we're doing is we're introducing injury, which collagen is in collagen production is increased there, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, collagen is the building block of a skin. So without collagen, everything just goes flat and droopy and not very nice.
Yeah.
So the the whole process of what microneedling does is just think of, and just take it away from microneedling for a second. If you damage the skin, right? You cut
Yeah.
yourself, you do create any sort of damage to the skin, the first reaction your skin does is to send in macrophages and take away the dead, take away all the dead cells, right? And then from there, once you've taken away the dead cells, it's going to start this immune response and wound healing response, where you start to then create new cells and you create new collagen, right? So basically, that is the wound process. Is you get the wound, and then your body has this natural event where it starts building up its own collagen. So if that's what happens every time you cut yourself, whether it's a large cut or it's a pinprick, you're getting that same response. So the whole thought about microneedling is, if I can increase the amount of pinpricks I'm making, I'm going to get that initial response times how many pinpricks you're making. So, but we're not creating any linear scarring, or we're not creating a linear line which will leave a scar. We're creating these tiny little controlled pinpricks which will heal completely.
Yeah.
And you just times that by like a million holes, and you get this amazing increase in collagen.
Yeah.
And you can break up scar tissue because you're breaking up that tissue that's already left there, and that collagen that's been, not laid down properly. So you
Yeah.
can break that up, and then you can create new fresh skin.
Yeah, it's interesting because at the end of the day, you're like in communicating the language of repair or of injury, but you are introducing that injury in the way that the skin has the easiest time to recover from it. That's kind of the principle of not creating a continuous injury, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
How would you contrast it to, because you are, I mean, when we meet normally at conferences where we see, last time we met, you had literally in front of your booth, more or less, the big Cyton, I believe, like booth where they have like Halo and other lasers, right?
Yep.
Or we had chemical peels there, for example. So how would you compare microneedling to other skin stimulants, other skin rejuvenation procedures like lasers or chemical peels and things like that?
I mean, there's so many different platforms or ideas for different treatments, and I believe each of them have their place. Right? So if you're looking at a chemical peel, you're really stripping back the whole top layer.
Yeah.
Really, and obviously it depends on the chemical peel as well. If you look at lasers, they definitely have their place, because usually a laser, particularly a laser, it is designed to have one wavelength or a couple of wavelengths, and those different wavelengths will create different effects in the skin or in the body. So if you have a wavelength designed to attract to blood, for instance, then that's going to heat up the blood, and it's great for treating, say, capillaries, broken capillaries. If you have a laser that's designed to heat up melanin, if you do a superficial approach, you can get rid of sunspots. If you have a slightly deeper approach to that melanin, like that attraction to melanin, you can get hair removal, because then you can heat up the hair follicle and destroy the structure at the bottom.
Yeah.
Of course, when we're looking at more what we're doing, the comparisons would be more of your ablative and non-ablative lasers. So when you get to that level, you are now attracted to water, and you're either denaturing the tissue in little pockets, or you're actually ablating the tissue in little pockets, depending on the laser. So it's great. They work. The issue that we see is, once you start using heat, is you also can create other complications.
Yeah.
And so if you've got darker skin types, it becomes more difficult. If it's the summertime, it becomes more difficult. If you're, if you're trying to treat something like melasma or something like that, then there's a chance you can make more melasma with the heat. So that when I contrast that with microneedling, then we're not creating heat, right? So we don't have all of those risks. We don't have a risk with different skin types. Because of the way that the pen performs, I can make probably 10 to 100 times as many holes as a laser can.
Yeah.
So I can break up scar tissue at a much greater level without creating the downsides or the issues that you or complications that you'll have with some of those performance. And then that also means that the downtime post treatment is much less.
Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
I love what you explained. And I think, a lot of the times we explain that, light and temperature, which here, when we talk about the laser, we actually talk about both, are kind of master communicators in the body. The body is going to use mainly temperature. It's going to get cues from light, right? But it's going to use temperature to affect many systems at once. And within that approach, even if you're trying to introduce temperature and light, for that matter, very selectively, it has the ability to connect to a few mechanisms at once that go into the skin. And actually, unfortunately, it has the ability to connect to itself. It means, and that connects to what you said about the amount of entry points that you can have. You can't have the entry points too close to each other because they will connect like electricity, if you would, or something like that. And I think microneedling, going from like a holistic type, like functional approach, is a more fundamentally correct way to introduce injury to the skin specifically. I think it's the skin is designed to communicate injury through entry of a foreign object, top down, if you would.
Yeah. Well, and it's really the most natural approach. When we look at the industry as a whole, I think for a long time it was getting out of hand, like with like people getting bigger lips, bigger everything. And it's just the focus now really across the board of the industry is to have a more natural look, a more natural approach, and just to look younger and healthier. So there is nothing out of all the treatments out there, there's really nothing more natural than creating that micro damage that the body and the skin is healing itself.
I couldn't agree more.
So the body wasn't designed to fix itself over with heat-based treatment, right? And of course, then we go into another whole discussion about RF.
Well, that is a big discussion because I think the biggest disservice long term, if I have this conversation maybe like 10 years in the future, I think the biggest disservice microneedling is going to have, professional microneedling is going to have, is radiofrequency microneedling. Because as I've said many times, I think that's something no one should do. You said things have their place, and I agree with you. I think radiofrequency microneedling and high-frequency ultrasound, both of them, actually communicate in a way that the skin cannot understand and the fascia cannot understand, and it creates only scarring, basically. It is the most linear type of damage you could introduce to the skin. And
there's a lot of people that won't like this conversation, but yeah, I agree.
And unfortunately, a lot of them are Israeli. A lot of the companies are Israeli. So for a long time, I wasn't speaking about it, but unfortunately, that's the truth. And we have, shout out to amazing doctors that we have and listen to this podcast that are doing radiofrequency microneedling. And it pains me to say that, but this is the truth. I don't think anyone should do that.
Yeah. The way I try to take a scientific approach to it. Right? So when you use heat, you will get some of that collagen contraction, right? So it does look like it's getting results, right? It does. So first of all, I don't like to call it radiofrequency microneedling because it's not really microneedling.
Exactly. It's introduced via needles.
Exactly. It's not true microneedling. All it is using needles to bypass the epidermis to deliver the heat. It's a radiofrequency machine. It's not a microneedling machine.
Yeah.
Number one. But looking at the science, what we just talked about a minute ago, when we talked about selective using light to selectively be absorbed in different chromophores. You had melanin, blood, water. Right? What does RF do?
Yeah.
It's on the same part of the electromagnetic scale as microwaves.
Mm-hmm.
So when you think about microwaving your food, how does it heat up? It literally vibrates every cell together. When they
Mm-hmm.
vibrate together, they heat up. That's what you're doing in the skin. There's no selectivity. There's no nothing. It's literally heating up every cell to create that heat.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, I do agree with you 100% that the resulting collagen that it leaves is not great, and it's
No.
not good for, which is why also plastic surgeons don't like to do plastic surgery after someone's had radio.
Yes, this is, no one talks about it. And again, we've known each other for, I would say, let's say just 8 years, probably more. But I mean, looking back at like 2016, Becker Gordon conference, I don't know when was the first time I was in Becker Gordon conference, but I remember plastic surgeons talking about how much they hate opening up someone's face and just encountering what is basically a skin that has been subjected to multiple series of wave-based rejuvenation devices, whether it is radio frequency, again, high frequency ultrasound like all therapy or anything like that. How they said, it's basically cosmetic smoking, right? Like for as far as a patient.
I like that.
And a friend of mine, Dr. Cameron Chestnut, equates it to, instead of like opening a book and then being able to leaf through the pages, it's like opening a book and the book was subjected, someone poured water on the book. So all the pages are clumped up and they're very brittle, basically.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's a very cool analogy. I like it.
Yeah, he's a good surgeon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and it's funny because again, it's like not microneedling, and we've done, I think, the most viral clips of this podcast for sure, or of me being on different podcasts, is my approach, my kind of me poo-pooing microneedling, radio frequency microneedling, and then in the comments, the number one question is, so is microneedling okay? So it's we should stop calling it radio frequency
Yeah.
microneedling.
It's just radio frequency.
Yes.
Really,
Yeah.
what it is. You might want to just add in like radio frequency MN or something, just to give you, or radio frequency needling. I don't know, but like,
Radio frequency stamping.
there we go. Radio frequency stamping.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So
Yeah, because it's confused the market for me a lot.
yeah, I bet.
Yeah, because
Do people try to?
Yeah, well, people go like, "Oh, I've got a microneedling device." I go, "Okay, what have you got?" And they're like, "Oh, we got a Scarlet." I'm like, "Okay, that's a completely different system." Yeah,
I've got Morpheus 8.
Yeah.
So do people try and ask you, hey, do you have one with radio frequency also?
yeah,
That's hilarious.
yeah. Of course, I said, and of course, you're not going to be spending $100,000-$200,000 on a proper microneedling device. So
Yeah.
the affordability of microneedling, true microneedling, is much, much better.
Yeah, and also to the patient at the end of the day. And look, that's another thing I've seen in the industry, especially in the derm industry. It's the derm, and actually, if you look at some companies like Photona, which really, their two major markets are like derm and dental. I think in both derm and dental, I see a common thread, which is like cosmetic dentistry, which is, I'm buying a device for a lot of money. I need to justify it. I'm running through my existing clientele, existing patient population, if you would, which they would only go, so I can only sell them so many treatments, right? And then I've run out of the device ability to kind of justify itself. And a lot of the times these devices are not returning the investment. A lot of the times. We see companies like M Sculpt, M Phase, for example, which is a radio frequency, saying, hey, we're going to pitch in marketing-wise, we're going to give you a 30,000 marketing budget, because they understand that that's the only way that the device is going to repay itself. But at the end of the day, it creates a pressure on the doctor to sell the results of an equipment. The promise of a $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 worth of results. And the only indoctrination they've gotten is from the device company. So they're parroting the device company's alleged results. And the patient gets it as a foregone conclusion that these are the results that they're going to have.
Yep.
And at the end, a lot of people obviously are disappointed by the results.
Yep.
But as we said, the show must go on.
So, I mean, the basic idea of what you're saying is, instead of trying to promote an actual treatment that's going to be super beneficial for the client, they got to pay for their machine.
Yeah.
So that's what they're going to push, right? Whether it's good, bad, or not the best. Maybe there's a better option, but they push that because they need to get their return on investment. And that at the end of the day is not great for the industry as a whole, because it's not great for the customer.
Yeah.
Like, this whole idea, and it's like our mission and our vision as a company, our mission is to create skin health. Right?
Yeah.
For everyone. And so if it's just about how can I sell this particular treatment to get the money back, then it's no longer about skin health. It's about getting that bottom dollar.
100%. I agree with you. There is a lot to be said about that. But I do want to connect to what you said about skin health. And I do want to talk about it a little bit, because you have so much experience and so much mileage in this field. I'm wondering, from your experience, what ingredients, so let's talk about enhancing results a little bit, or product and pairing, things like that. What ingredients pair best with microneedling, whether it is in office or as a post-treatment care? What have you seen that work really well?
I think it's going to be dependent on the indication you're trying to look at. So I have to be careful with what I say here, because microneedling in the US, it's FDA cleared for only certain indications. Outside of the US, we can see so many results for so many different indications, right? And can talk about it. Right?
Yeah. So let's assume we're talking about a global capability.
Right. So these statements have not been evaluated by the FDA, is what I'd have to say, right?
Great.
Yeah. So,
and this is not medical advice.
This is not medical advice. So if you're looking at pigmentation, for instance, and you look at some of the lasers that have been, used for getting rid of melasma or helping melasma, it's fractional lasers, right? So those actual devices they're not being absorbed by the melanin. It's actually just trying to break it up with lots of holes.
Yes.
Right, because some of that melanin's deeper down. So you don't have that superficial, like a solar lentigine or something that you're trying to treat. So you really have to do lots of holes to break up that pigment to get rid of it. So if you think about what microneedling can do, it's going to do a lot more holes, like 10 times the amount of holes. So you're going to break up that pigmentation to a greater level. And then you don't have the heat to make it worse. But now if you can pair that with ingredients that act as a tyrosinase inhibitor, so stopping the production of melanin, then you're going to have an even greater effect. So worldwide, things like hydroquinone are pretty well banned.
Yeah.
So as a company, as a worldwide company, we don't use it. We use high levels of kojic acid, licorice root, and other tyrosinase inhibitors, more natural, to get a better effect with.
I guess vitamin C and some capacity.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we do use vitamin C too.
Yeah.
Vitamin C is great.
I'll give you an anecdote. A product that's not out yet. We've followed, there's a new study from 2024 on increasing fibroblast activity through NAD boosting. And many companies, so now it's a hot topic, boosting NAD. I'm sure you've seen it. I mean, I've been talking about this for a long time, but now it's kind of becoming popular. And one of the things that pairs like really well with just adding NAD into the skin is a licorice root extract for to kind of supplement NAD boosting, and it actually raises total NAD levels. So there's something here about licorice root extract that I guess is good for many type of indications in the skin.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, we do use that in some of our products. So
Yeah.
that's I haven't heard that correlation before. So I'd like to see more on that.
Yeah, I'll send you the study.
Yeah. I know you have some wonderful products.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The approach is very, very similar, because at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is to make sure that the skin is functioning more youthfully, which then obviously would perform better when you're talking about stimulating repair, right? You guys have been using exosomes for a long time, at least like 4 years, I think.
I think it's 5 now.
Yeah.
But what we've managed to do, so originally we had, because our original exosomes knowledge was pretty low, right? So we we didn't want to recreate the wheel ourselves. So we partnered with a company which had a lot of expertise in that area. As things happen, didn't end up working out longevity wise.
No pun intended.
So we searched the world for a new partner, and we found a lab in Korea that's been working with exosomes for over 20 years. And, Korean companies and the K-beauty is definitely a big thing right now. But particularly when it comes to exosomes, the Koreans have been on the forefront of that technology.
Yeah.
And so this particular lab has been working a lot with cancer treatments, and again, not FDA. They've been doing a lot of cancer treatments very successfully throughout Japan and Korea and other Asian countries. And we've seen the technology that they use, and we've been able to partner with them and invest in them and then head up their aesthetic vision. So
beautiful.
To take that knowledge has given us the ability to offer what we think is the best exosomes on the planet currently.
I love it. Yeah, very similar. When we were very afraid of FDA regulations for a long time. We were advised that the FDA is going to come after some things that it would see on a label and would be human derived. For a long time, we held off, but we decided to kind of jump in about 2 years ago, and we partnered with a Korean lab, which we're now heavily invested in, and to see the way that they work, the way that they think is inspiring. To be honest, it's very cool.
Well, I'm gonna rephrase my last comment to say one of the 2 best exosomes in the world.
Let's not doubt it. So here's maybe the flip side of that. What should you never use after microneedling?
Well, you just okay. So you've opened up the channels, right? You have opened up the channels in the skin and damaged the skin. So stay away from anything that's going to create some sort of bacteria or problem in the skin afterwards, right?
Yeah.
So don't put on your makeup that you would normally do that isn't designed to go over compromised skin. Definitely do not use your makeup brush with all the bacteria and stuff inside the makeup brush. Only use if you need to use makeup, only use specific products which have been designed to use post-microneedling. Don't use anything, for instance, if you've used exosomes, don't use a product that has a different pH balance, which will kill the exosomes as well. So it's very important when you're using the exosomes to make sure that your product, any other products you'll use after that, won't cause a reaction or problem with the exosomes. I wouldn't use anything that's going to then compromise the treatment that you've just done.
Got it.
But also, we try to never use anesthetic cream. Right? So every other microneedling company will tell you to use anesthetic cream before a treatment. We say do not use it. and we have technologies in our pens, which gives the ability not to have to use anesthetic cream. But you think about the idea of what we're doing. We're trying to regenerate the skin.
Yeah.
And the first thing you go and do is put on this horrible, horrible chemical. It's like completely counterintuitive. So that's the first thing that I'd say. Don't use an anesthetic cream.
Interesting. Can you talk a little bit about how do you circumvent the anesthetic cream?
Yeah, it's in the technology with the pen, and then the technique of how you do it. So part of that is our needles are thinner and sharper than any other needle on the market. So already you're going to get better penetration without as much pain, and you're not going to get that superficial, basically bludgeoning of the skin. You're going to get real penetration. A lot of devices, when you use them and you move it across the skin like this, because some of them you can't even do that. Some you can only stamp.
Yeah.
Right, and then you're getting just a fraction of the amount of holes that you can take. But the idea is you want to move it across the skin.
And to people who are listening, you're basically gliding it, left, right, up, down, right?
Correct. So you glide it, and I've got 16 needles on the tip, and it's going up and down at 120 times per second.
Wow.
So it's creating almost 2,000 holes per second. Which, over 1 million holes in under 10 minutes. So if you're stamping, you can't do that.
Yeah.
So that you lose a lot of the effect. So you can glide across the skin. Now you have to have technology in the pen that makes this possible. So some pens, when you do that, will catch and drag a little
Yes.
bit. And that's horrible. Doesn't feel good for the practitioner or the patient. So we've got what's called direct drive in the pen itself, which means when you connect a tip to the pen, the tip is actually connected to the piston itself. So instead of pushing the needles out and just allowing a spring or something to pull the needles out of the skin, the piston is pushing and pulling the needles in and out. The best analogy I've got for that is, have you ever ridden a bicycle?
Yes.
Right? And you're pushing down on the pedals. Have you ever then ridden with cleats in? So, or like with your feet actually strapped into the pedals.
Yeah.
Difference in the power when you can also pull up
Yes.
and push down. I mean, you go
Got it.
way faster and smoother and stronger. So it's the same deal. That piston allows us to move the needles much faster and much stronger and smoother. So you can literally go across the skin really fast without any catching and dragging.
Nice.
And the faster you move it, you're not concentrating on one spot, so it's less painful.
Got it.
So there's a few different technologies and techniques which enables us to not have to use it.
So let me ask you a question. That is something that I talk about that is a little bit of a drawback, no pun intended, with the rollers. That the rollers are innately not entering at zenith at 90 degrees and are not exiting at 90 degrees.
Correct.
And there's really no way around it. I've seen, Instagram, the ultimate authority, Instagram influencers, trying to show
That's where I
techniques.
get my information from.
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah. That's how I live my life. But I've seen them doing things like, they don't go back and forth. They only go one direction, like things that don't make a lot of sense as to how they would mitigate that.
Yeah.
Do you feel the same way about rollers, or do you have a different?
Yeah, I mean, you think about the technique. The needles are going like this, so you're getting lateral tearing.
Yes.
Instead of directly into the skin at 90 degrees, like you said. So
and it beats the purpose of that controlled injury, which is easy for the body to heal. Then you're innately creating some of that scar tissue long term.
Yeah, little micro tears.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, the skin's still pretty good at healing itself. So I won't say that it's terrible. I'm just saying you'll get less micro tearing if you're using a device that can actually do what ours does. But secondly, the rollers don't give you a lot of flexibility. Right?
Yeah.
You got a roller. When those needles are put on the roller, they're at one length. Right? So if you want to go superficially, it's really super imprecise because it's like, I just push a little bit lighter. If I want to go deeper, I have to push heavier. Right?
Yeah.
The pen gives us the ability to actually physically adjust the depth that we're going to. So I've got a lot more scope to be able to change the treatment that I'm giving. So a lot more flexibility, Also, then you're only having to change the tip
Yeah.
too instead of a whole roller. So environmentally, it's much better. And it's also probably more affordable.
And I know in the US you mainly focus on the professional pen that you guys have,
Hmm.
but does that also apply to the at-home pen?
Yeah, yeah, 100%,
Okay.
100%. The Yeah, because we do have the Dermapen home that's
Yeah.
available, and traditionally it's been worldwide, and we've been in discussions with the FDA for that to be able to offer it here.
Hmm.
Our current understanding is if it's below 0.03
Yeah.
millimeters or point sorry yeah 0.3 millimeters, then the FDA they won't look at it so much.
Hmm.
So we've had that discussion, and we haven't had any contradicting thoughts from them. So we hope to offer that soon in the US
Nice.
too, unless they tell us that we can't.
So US based individuals right now, there is no way for them to purchase it, or they can purchase it kind of internationally and get it shipped here. How does it work?
Yeah, I mean, if they're overseas or whatever, they can certainly
Got
purchase it. But we hope to actually offer it here very soon.
it. Amazing.
Yeah, because the FDA has not told us that they disagree with that comment.
Yeah.
Right? So, and at the end of the day, it's all about a discussion with them,
Yeah.
and we've the discussion's been open, and they haven't said that we're not supposed to. So, what can you do?
Yeah.
Can't wait
So
forever for a response.
yeah. Since we are talking about like we've mentioned microneedling at home, but even professionally, a lot of the discussion around microneedling is that microchanneling is the ability to enhance the absorption of different products. Exosomes would be one of them.
Hmm.
So the question is, can microneedling truly enhance absorption of topical products? And on the second hand, is it always a good thing?
Yeah, I mean, two very, very good questions. So the biggest barrier to any product getting into the skin is the skin.
Hmm.
Right? So if you can slightly break that barrier, then you are creating channels which then any sort of product can get into. Right?
Hmm.
So does microneedling enhance it? Yeah, I mean, yes. Yes is the answer to that.
Hmm.
Again, not something that's been evaluated by the FDA, I have to say.
Yeah.
But it's just the physical. I mean, just
It
think what
only
it is.
enhances it if you're outside of the US.
Yeah, that's right.
If you're in the US, no
It doesn't
enhancement is
work. Doesn't
happening.
work
Yeah.
exactly. But I mean, it's obvious, right? It's
Yeah.
obvious. The barrier is the skin. If we
Yeah.
can create little channels in that skin, then obviously you're going to get better penetration of a product. Now, should you put any product in? I mean, no. This is
Yeah.
another reason why we don't like to use anesthetic cream, because you put it on,
Exactly.
very difficult to get off, and now you're going to microneedle, and that's still there. Right? And now you're actually pushing that into the skin. So yeah, there's lots of things that you don't want to push into the skin as well. So
Yeah.
it's important to make sure you're using the right product, or you're going to a clinic that knows the products that they're using as well if you're getting a treatment that are
Yeah, for sure.
designed to be actually pushed into the skin.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, obviously, a clinic that knows what it does also knows how to instruct home care, etc.
Mhm.
I would argue a clinic that really goes the extra mile would tell you what to do pre. I mean, again, I have a story
Absolutely.
that I tried to trademark the word rejuvenation. USPTO told me that I am delusional, but I think that's as important. I don't know, as important, but it's pretty important, almost as important as post care, for to get the best results.
100%. You should absolutely pre-prepare the skin before any sort of treatment. And I think the clinics find this very difficult because you get a customer that wants to come in and they're like, oh, we should get them on a treatment right away. They've
Yeah.
come in, let's not lose the customer, right?
Hmm.
So it's very difficult sometimes to get them on that pre-treatment program. But
Mm.
if you really want to do it right and do it the best for the patient, is you do a consult with them, you give them specific products which are going to set them up for when they actually come for the treatment, their skin is going to be much, much better prepared.
Amen. Yes. So talking about, coming and doing that consult, what is the cadence of, microneedling treatments? How often should someone come to get a microneedling treatment?
Yeah. Again, it's going to
Yeah.
depend on the indication. So outside of the US, if you're treating pigment, where's most of that pigment? It's above the basal layer. Most of it's going to, so it's in the epidermis. So we don't need to go into the dermis to get a result. And so if you're doing that, it's a much shallower treatment. There's going to be less damage to the skin. So you can do your treatments much closer together. You can do them 2 weeks apart.
Yeah.
If you're going to go deeper with scarring or other treatments where you're going to see a little bit of pinpoint bleeding, you're also looking at the collagen cycle there. So you want to leave it a longer period in between treatments. We actually like to wait at least 6 weeks for those sort of deeper treatments.
Yeah. What would be the ideal needle depth for anti-aging versus scarring? Again, it won't work in the US, but versus pigmentation.
Yeah. Well, scarring, acne scarring we can talk about, which is great.
Oh, yeah, good.
Yeah,
so that works in the US.
Clear.
Great,
It's clear.
fantastic.
Yeah, that works in the US.
Okay.
Yeah. So we don't give you ideal depths because everybody's skin is different. Right? So we train our practitioners to say, okay, this is a good depth to start on, but what you need to look at is the endpoint you're getting in the skin. Right? Because every single person that walks through the clinic's door is going to have different thicknesses of skin, different types of skin, different damage to their skin. So we say, all right, if you're trying to look for pinpoint bleeding, start the treatment on this depth. And if you're not getting it for that particular result, go a little bit deeper. Always do every treatment according to that particular patient. So that's why we can't talk about depths like that.
Okay. But you're talking mainly about, so let's talk about maybe skin depth as far as like layers. Because you're mentioning pinpoint bleeding, and that would be once you puncture into the dermis, right?
Correct.
So you mentioned that that hyperpigmentation is something that if someone were to treat hyperpigmentation in Canada, they will not need to go that deep, and maybe bleeding is not required. But once you want to stimulate collagen production, are you going to the point of slight bleeding?
That we would like to see that. Yeah. When we look at the over 6 million treatments we've done worldwide.
Wow.
So there's a lot of experience for this. We've seen getting that pinpoint bleeding generally gets a better result for that. That's breaking up scar tissue and also getting that collagen cycle to begin.
Yeah.
Whereas not getting it is just better for just like overall toning and clearing, and even just enhancing the deeper treatments.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the idea of the home device. It's not there to take away from the in-clinic proper device, proper treatment. The idea is to enhance those in-clinic treatments.
Yeah. It's fun. We obviously mentioned earlier that radiofrequency microneedling and microneedling have nothing to do with each other. I would argue that at-home microneedling and professional microneedling are two different treatments being administered by the same, physical principle.
Correct. Absolutely correct.
Yeah.
You got it. You still got to go into the clinic. You still get those real, professional treatments. Then that home device is amazing at just enhancing, refreshing, and keeping the skin, just the cells turning over.
Yeah.
So it's really an amazing.
And that would be also like a. Sorry.
Yeah, that's right.
Would that also be like a 2-week cadence, a weekly cadence? What would be the?
Yeah, I mean, you can literally do it every week if you want to.
Yeah. we talked about exosomes as far as like combining it with microneedling. And, here, for example, the place that we go to for our biohacking needs, they're very big into, I think they use your devices called MedHouse or R3 here in West Palm Beach.
Hmm.
They are very big in introducing exosomes together with the microneedling into the skin. Blanking on the name of the brand that they're using, but they know what they're doing. Having said that, what about other longevity biohacking treatments like red light therapy or hyperbaric oxygen therapy,
Hmm.
or eh, I guess like cryotherapy wouldn't have anything to. Maybe
No,
it will
no,
because it
yeah,
reduces inflammation. So,
absolutely.
what do you think about? Let's start with like infrared or red light therapy. Do you see any benefits in combining the two?
Yeah, 100%. In fact, as a company, yeah, we've been dealing with LED
Hmm.
systems since like 2000 or even
Nice.
before. So, our DermapenWorld was the first company to bring in hair removal lasers into Australia.
Wow.
Yeah, well, the whatever it was called back then, but
Yeah.
uh, because that was before Dermapen, but the company, my family's company,
Hmm.
was the first to bring in hair removal lasers into Australia. So and then we looked at other technologies which were similar, which is LED.
Yeah.
So we used to sell some great, big devices, big machines.
Yeah.
Did cost quite a lot. But they were also used for not just rejuvenation, but they're used for PDT, for
Yeah.
acne, for other treatments. Um, so when you have a wavelength, like we said before, it's going to get absorbed into different chromophores in the skin. So there's certain wavelengths which are really, really good for rejuvenation. Right?
Yeah.
You just have to get enough energy into the cell to get the desired change in the cell and to get that regenerative effect.
Yeah.
So just holding a light bulb isn't going to do it. Right? You need to have at least enough energy from
Yeah.
whatever you're using. So uh, all of those big machines that you had in the clinic, they're great. They generally are getting that result. But we also now have a face mask, right? That's getting the same energy into the cells.
Hmm.
Well, how can a home face mask do that? Right? Well, when you have these big machines, they're generally sitting off your
Yeah.
face like this. There's a huge amount of energy loss.
Correct. Yeah.
So if you have a face mask right on the skin, you don't need the same power to get the same energy into the
But
skin.
you still need a pretty strong face mask within
Yep.
those parameters, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Very cool.
And if you're doing that, make sure you're looking for masks that don't have a variety of colors,
Yeah.
because every time you put a different color in, you're dividing up the power.
Hmm.
And you're dividing up the effect. So look
And
for
the surface, right? And a blue diode is not going to
yeah,
be situated together with a red diode, so you're
right.
basically like are going to have like a dead spot in your skin, basically.
Yep, yep.
Cool. What about hyperbarics? Have you seen a lot of people combining the two?
I think in wellness clinics they do like
Yeah.
instead of just going to a med spa, I see there is a lot of focus now on more holistic approaches, and
Yeah.
I really do like the idea of the hyperbaric chambers. I'm not an expert on it by
Yeah.
any means, but there's a lot of different technology, more in the wellness front, which I do
Yeah.
believe works really, really well.
So, as far as like cold exposure, it's a very hotly debated topic in the bodybuilding or fitness world
Mhm.
because research have shown a significant reduction in results if you work out and then go into a cold exposure because you're lowering the inflammation you've created, and that inflammation is a positive thing because it stimulates the regeneration of muscle, etc. Do you think it's similar as far as like microneedling? Would you wait with going to a cryo chamber for a while?
It's interesting because we have thought about that even with LED.
Yeah.
Like maybe just waiting a little bit longer before actually doing the LED treatment, right? Because you do want some of that inflammation.
Hmm.
I think there's still a lot of research
Yeah.
that needs to be done. I would say also probably with the cryo as well. I wouldn't do it straight after a treatment.
Hmm.
Um, And it's interesting of the research with the do you take cold plunges?
Yeah.
Yeah. I I try and do it before I work out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, my good friend Tom Sager, Professor Tom Sager, wrote a book about testosterone and increasing testosterone, and basically he writes about using the cold plunge, and then working out.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it's a field that needs so much more exploring and so much
mhm.
more research, and then and sometimes it's not as easy because there's not as much money in an ice bath, you know.
Yeah.
But it's there's a lot of real goodness to come in that field.
Hmm.
That's why I
Yeah.
do actually. That's why we often see each other at the A4M,
Yeah.
right? Because there's a lot of different wellness ideas and technologies being explored there that you won't see at a standard aesthetic conference.
Yeah. Shout out to A4M. I love A4M. So let's talk about, because we're running a little bit out of time, and I want to ask you a few questions that I think I'm interested in. First is who shouldn't do microneedling? Is there a bad candidate for microneedling? Obviously, babies, but aside from
Yeah,
babies.
but I have even seen it on babies if there's some sort of
Mm,
scarring or something. I mean,
yeah,
to remodel that scar tissue as a baby,
yeah,
you can end up having it almost scarless, right? So,
yeah.
I mean, obviously, the pain's not going to be pleasant for the baby, but I mean, yeah,
Hey, you're
there's
talking to a Jew. We circumcise our babies, you know? It's
yeah. You guys should then microneedle your babies or full body then, full body while you're doing the circumcision. Like if you've got, I mean, we always say like don't treat
yeah,
pregnant women. It's not that it's going to cause any sort of problem, but
yeah.
if they, if something does happen to their baby, they're going to look at what they've done differently
Mm-hmm.
and blame it on that. I think if you've got certain immune problems, like
Mm-hmm.
autoimmune diseases, there are certain things that you don't want to use it with. Like we don't want to use it over eczema or things like that because you're actually stimulating the production of
Yeah,
more collagen. So do you really want to do that with someone that's got eczema? No.
yeah,
But are there other drugs in the future that you could possibly help to penetrate that with? I know that other companies have used like pharma companies have used our device to try and push their specific medicines in just to
mm-hmm.
see what the reaction would be. But yeah, I would be careful with any sort of autoimmune diseases. If you've got an open wound, I wouldn't be doing it on an open wound. But the great thing about microneedling is you're simply doing what we said is just damaging the skin.
Yeah,
So if you're like a normal human being and your skin heals and you've got any type of skin type, anyone can do it, and you can get it done anywhere.
yeah,
Like there is, in some countries around the world, there's some really interesting treatments that they do with it.
yeah. What are the, again, you have so much experience. What are the common mistakes or myths that you see circulating, even with practitioners?
There's a lot of technique mistakes that
Mm-hmm.
um, people have. I mean, people think that just what we talked about before, like stamping is going to give you the same sort of result. It's
Yeah,
not because you're just not doing this anywhere near the same amount of holes. We like to teach people not to be doing circles because it gives an uneven result. We like to also work with lymphatic drainage, so we're always trying to move the device from the inner face to the outer face.
mm-hmm.
There's, I'm just trying to think. Well, another myth is RF microneedling is microneedling.
Yeah,
So I can't think of too many myths right now. It'd be interesting to have someone that has a bunch of myths to go over those specifically.
yeah. Listen, I think we've covered a lot here, and I really appreciate the knowledge that you've shared. It's been a long time coming, this podcast.
Yeah, it has.
Joel, so where can people find out, where can people explore the offerings that you have, obviously, how can professionals get in touch, or how can consumers know where to go?
So if you're not in the US, there's the DermapenWorld.com website. So just think DermapenWorld. But our US company that we distribute all of the Dermapen World portfolio, that is dpderm.com. So D and P for Dermapen, Derm for dermatology, dpderm.com.
Got it. Okay, fantastic. We'll have it in the show notes. Thank you very much, Joel. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Always a pleasure, Amitai.
Bye, everyone.